Is that something you would talk about with anybody, or not anybody, but with like with any
Only
person?
you.
Only me. Only
well, it
you.
is an interesting thing about how, people often, and it's in writing too, people often, I read that Edward R. Murrow, the newscaster, told a stranger on the plane next to him that he had cancer, and he'd never told any of his family at that point. You know what I mean? There's something about telling strangers things that's interesting. It's like when you write, I'll often write things that my 16-year-old daughter asked me something about my past, and Sam said to her, if you want to know Dad, you should read his books. Because I'll write things, and it's very true. That goes to what we were just talking about. And also, I'll be much more forthcoming on a page than I will be generally in life with people, even people I love. And I always think, and I'm not the only one, lots of people talk about how that's the case. And I think that's really interesting how we do that and why we do that. And
that's why they say write what you know, right?
Yeah, I guess so. And just write the truth.
Right, because you write the truth, right?
I remember writing the first book I did, and I was writing, and it was a travel memoir, but really it was about intimacy. And I remember writing a paragraph going, oh my God, this can never be in the book. And I'm typing away, and this could never, there's no way.
I'm embarrassed.
And this is like way too revealing.
Yeah.
And then I finish it, and I read it, and I go, well, there's no chapter without that paragraph. That's the whole thing. And, because all you're trying to do is, they're just feelings. Everybody's got them. And you're just, with writing, you're just trying to create a connection with the reader so that they're nodding their head, whether they sit alone in their bed at night with you, and they're nodding their head and kind of go, yeah, that's how I feel. That's how I feel. And then you got something.
Yeah. Have you ever, are you one of the, I had never heard my dad cry until he lost his daughter, my half sister, who passed away a few years ago. And talk about shell-shocked. Talk about, and it was sort of expected throughout the years. She had the trisomy chromosomal thing going on for years, and she was always in the hospital. I mean, she lived in the hospital, Children's Hospital, and he was dealing with this a long time. And then when she passed, I called him, and I couldn't even understand him. It was like a different human being. I've never heard that kind of cry. He was so hurt, and I just didn't know what even to do. I was emotional. I just said, I love you. I'm here for you. And it was heartbreaking. It was heartbreaking. It's not something I think you want to see your father. There's some people that are, oh, my daddy's always crying. Oh, he's everything. He watches this, he cries.
I think that's one of the greatest things we can do for our kids is show them our frailty. You know what I mean? And we don't want to do that as dads. Of course, we're strong, we're this, we're that, and we got it sorted out. And, but I think, there's a moment on the walk when we were walking and I tripped and I fell and I almost crashed into this thing that would have really been a problem. And I hit hard, and I normally bounce right back up if I fall because I'm so embarrassed that I just, oh no, I'm fine, But I didn't bounce back up, and I just fell hard, and it's a much lighter thing than what you're talking about, obviously. But the metaphor of it's the same. It's I hit the ground and I stayed there, and my son was shocked at this because I'm pretty agile in that, and he helped me, and I realized just let him help you. Let him help you. It's important for him to see that part of me. You know what I mean? And that's one of the things I have to teach is that like my mom now is not, she's getting dementia and she's suffering, and you got to go help them. And anyway, and so that's part of life. That's part of the cycle of what happens. And so, for you to say that's an important thing for your dad for you to get to experience that with your dad. You know what I mean? That it's not just the other way. It's it's a two-way street, which it takes wanting that too.